Are you thinking about moving to West Palm Beach? Well, today I'm going to tell you about the top pros and cons of living in West Palm so that you can decide if this city is the right fit for you. And stay tuned for one of these cons because when you hear it, you may decide right then and there that you don't want any part of it and decide that this is not the place for you. So let's get into it. So starting with the number one pro, which can also be the number one con, so I'm going to put them both together. And of course, it's the weather. I mean, I say this, it seems so obvious that of course it is, and everybody says the same thing. But, we have the most beautiful winter weather starting in about maybe the end of October, the beginning of November, even though it still is hurricane season through December 1st. And it's the draw. And when you see the car carriers coming and the roads start filling up, you know that winter is coming, fall is coming, and the weather is going to change. So obviously the weather is the most attractive thing about South Florida, and it is the most attractive thing about West Palm Beach because West Palm Beach is a waterfront city, and it has about 6 miles of almost all of it uninterrupted waterfront where you can drive along Flagler Drive, you can ride your bike. Flagler Drive runs right through downtown where all the events are, where the shopping is, with Palm Beach right across Lake Worth or the Intercoastal from West Palm. So, the weather just makes the city so attractive, and it's part of why it's such a successful, attractive city. And on the other hand, because of hurricanes and because of the weather, the summers can just be, just oppressive. And we have really hot weather, not just hot weather, but hot, humid weather, like 100% humidity kind of hot weather, which means that starting sometimes May we call it the secret month because sometimes May, everyone's already left, all the northerners have gone home, and we're still having beautiful weather. But it's almost like a switch flips June 1st, and, the afternoons, thunderstorms kick in, the days of rain sometimes kicks in. We start watching the tropics, worrying about hurricanes, and it's hot. It's so hot that you just don't want to do anything, say, after 9 o'clock in the morning, not anything outdoors anyway, unless it's on the water. So that's usually what we typically do, is especially like in West Palm Beach. When you live east in an eastern coastal community, it's the best place to be because we have the Atlantic Ocean. We aren't on the Gulf side. We have the Atlantic Ocean. There's a lot more breezes that come off of the Atlantic, and the air is moving better when you're on the eastern parts of town. When you live out west, it can be a lot even more oppressive than it is east. So that's my number one con for most, is the weather, the humidity, the risk of hurricane, and just the overall oppressiveness of the heat. So that's a deal breaker for a lot of people, and that's why I make it the number one. And I always recommend that maybe you come down in the summertime and spend a little time here so you can see what it's really like. If you're moving here for a job, that's probably a good idea. If you're a seasonal resident, then you don't even have to worry about it. You just, batten down the hatches here at your home here, and you head north, and you don't have to think about the heat that we're all living in for the summer. It's my number one pro, and my number one con is the weather. So my number two pro after the weather, and this is specifically, we're talking about West Palm Beach, and that is just the waterfront lifestyle, the walkability, just the accessibility of West Palm Beach. It is the city itself, the downtown area, sits right on the Lake Worth Intercoastal Waterway, which Lake Worth was a natural lake at one time, and that's why we call our inlet the Lake Worth Inlet. And so if you're familiar at all with South Florida, south of us, like in Delray, Boca, and down into Fort Lauderdale, the Intercoastal is kind of they call it the ditch because it's a Corps of Engineering feat, whereas the waterway, Lake Worth, which is also part of the Intercoastal, is a very wide body of water, as you can see from this map and from these videos. So it gives a lot of charm to West Palm Beach. And the barrier island to the east of the city of West Palm Beach is the town of Palm Beach and the island of Palm Beach, It's one of the highest net worth zip codes in the country with all of its beautiful architecture, fantastic restaurants. They've been reimagining so many things in West Palm and in Palm Beach, places to eat outdoors, and the lake trail along the waterway on the Palm Beach side and Flagler Drive on the West Palm side. You start at Clematis Street, where the Saturday Green Market is, which happens to be one of the top-rated green markets in the country. And then you can walk Clematis all the way west to City Place, where there's all kinds of new residential properties going up and lots of shopping. You have the Kravis Center for the Performing Arts and the Convention Center right across the street from that, the Norton Museum of Art, and all of the antique stores along Antique Row, which is South Dixie, south of downtown. There is just so much going on. So if you live in one of the condos in downtown West Palm, you live in a luxury apartment, or you live in one of the historic communities surrounding West Palm, which you can see a video that I did on the top 5 neighborhoods in West Palm Beach. I lived in one of the historic neighborhoods, and at the time I worked in Palm Beach. And it was so much fun to belong to the gym downtown, run down to the gym in the morning for my workout, just drive over the bridge to go to work. There's a great Publix over in Palm Beach. There's another one near City Place. There's markets along Dixie, south of downtown. So it just really has everything, and you can walk very easily to most of it. And if you're not walking, they have those rental bikes that you can rent. They have public transportation, these little trolleys that run from City Place to Clematis Street. And actually, the parking's not even that bad. So it really is a very livable city. And that's why I give that my number 2 pro, because there's always something to do in a laid back sort of environment with sophisticated shopping, excellent restaurants, lots of outdoor options, and it's just really a beautiful place to live. So there's always a flip side. And so con number 2 would be cost of living, as in cost of housing in West Palm Beach. And it has really boomed since COVID and since we've gotten the moniker of Wall Street of the South, and so many people have moved, even more people have moved to our community, to West Palm Beach in the last, say, 3 or 4 years, than even more than in the past. And so what that has meant is that as prices have increased on luxury properties, single family homes in Palm Beach, the island of Palm Beach, people have chosen to buy homes in some of those 5 neighborhoods I was telling you about around downtown West Palm, the historic areas like El Cid and Prospect Park, So, Flamingo Park, and even now Northwood. And so what's going on is that they've kind of priced a lot of people, the market has priced a lot of people out of downtown West Palm Beach. So, a home that might have cost $600,000 10 or 15 years ago is now a $3 or $4 million home with many upgrades. But it's just living along the water, having the luxury of everything so easily accessible has caused a lot of people to be priced out of the market, and a lot of people to move out of downtown West Palm to take advantage of the increase in the property values, and because the overhead related to these properties as it relates to like property taxes and insurance, specifically windstorm insurance, and then the luxury condos that are being built all along Flagler, and there's many luxury condos in downtown. The condo dues for these luxury condos are extraordinary and almost like sticker shock to a lot of people. I mean, I wouldn't even say the number because, it's usually like a certain amount per foot, but it's not unheard of in some of these $5-10 million condos to have a $10,000 a month condo fee. So that's something to think about. And it's something that is really a shock to some people, because when they come down and they look around and they think, oh, well, maybe I can live in this neighborhood. And then they start doing the math on the property taxes and the cost of insurance and windstorm insurance and the cost of the condo dues, it can be quite shocking. So that is really, after the weather and after hurricanes, the cost of living and how much it has increased in West Palm Beach at the top of my list of the cons of living in West Palm Beach. But the upside to that is that, like I've said before, there are so many bedroom communities, and West Palm Beach is kind of like the cornerstone of the county, and then there are just tons of other towns surrounding it, like North Palm Beach, Singer Island, Juno Beach, Jupiter, communities out west. So there are many options to offset that. But to have that experience of living in West Palm Beach, this is like a major con of living there right now, and that's the cost of living. So my number 3 pro is, this is what I'm all about, the water. The water in West Palm. First of all, the waterfront, as I mentioned, because there's almost 6 miles of intracoastal Lake Worth waterfront, with most of it accessible to the public because Flagler Drive runs along the whole length of Lake Worth. And then from downtown West Palm, you have 3 bridges that go over to the island of Palm Beach and the town of Palm Beach, which is only, I don't know how narrow it is. It's like maybe a half a mile wide. And then you have the beautiful beaches of Palm Beach and the beautiful water of Palm Beach. And the only downside to that is that the parking is limited. There's no parking garages. Everything is street side parking. So during season, it can be difficult during the day to find a place to park to go to the beach in Palm Beach, which is the nearest beach to the city of West Palm. But it's also one of the places where you could go to the beach and then shop on Worth Avenue at all the designer stores when you're done. So it's kind of a unique situation. But so beaches, water. So the next beach down is Lake Worth Beach, which a lot of people that live in Soso or south of Southern, one of the top neighborhoods that I outlined in my top 5 neighborhoods in West Palm, they just go over the C-52 canal and just go to the Lake Worth Bridge, and they're at the beach there in Lake Worth. And then if you go north from West Palm, not very far, just a couple miles, you can be on Singer Island to the beaches. There's a couple of different parks, especially the state park, MacArthur Beach State Park, which is this just expansive outdoor space with the natural lagoon that leads into Lake Worth that you can kayak there. And then there's just pristine beaches, and they run from there up to the next town, which is Juno Beach, and then to Jupiter Beach. So a lot of people that live in West Palm go up to Jupiter to go to the beach, and you take the back roads. You don't have to get on 95. And there are just a lot of beautiful beach options. And at this end of the county, actually for most of Palm Beach County, most of the beachfront is public access. I mean, on the island of Palm Beach, you have a lot of homes that are right on the ocean, but there are plenty of stretches of beach that you can access and enjoy. And then the other thing to that I'll say is that if you're an outdoor person and you like to fish, you like to be on your boat, you like to do water sports, you like to dive, we have just amazing access from the Lake Worth Inlet that's just at the north end of Palm Beach. And we're only 50 miles to the Bahamas, which is the most beautiful water you've ever seen. So it's really as much sophistication as we have in terms of shopping and restaurants and wealthy people. Most of the people have this one common thing that they really enjoy about the area, and that is the water and the outdoor aspect of living here in the West Palm Beach area. So that's my number 3 pro, and that's the water. Which leads me to my number 3 con, which kind of lumps a lot of things together, and it does have to do with expenses, and that is property taxes, homeowners insurance, windstorm insurance, and all that kind of revolves around hurricanes. So even though I mentioned the weather in the beginning, obviously we deal with tropical weather. We deal with hurricanes. And, I've lived here all my life, and I can't count how many hurricanes we've either had direct hits or, close scares. But I will say that from like Palm Beach County south in Florida, Broward and Dade County, because of the hurricanes that we had over the last 25 years, most homeowners have made, big improvements to their properties with impact windows and stronger roofs, metal roofs, tile roofs, and businesses have installed backup generators so that grocery stores now operate and gas stations operate after we've experienced a hurricane. But those hurricanes have led to the insurance market being kind of volatile, to say the least, and unpredictable in terms of what your insurance costs are going to be. And then that translates to volatility in your homeowner's dues if you live in a development that association covers part of your exterior of your building, or condos, same thing, or just for your individual insurance needs when you have a single family home. So number 3 is an affordability issue, but specifically related to the different kind of insurance that you have to have, the fact that we have hurricanes and that leads to that, and then also property taxes, because our property taxes run about, the property tax appraiser estimates that you can expect your property taxes to be about 2% of the value of your home, and which can be limited by our Save Our Homes Act, which limits it to the CPI, or around 2.5% to 3% per year. Your assessed value is limited if you declare your homestead in Florida. And then you also have some portability. So if you sell a home here in Florida and move to a different town, you can take part of your savings with you and apply it. So that is a plus. And then another plus to this is, I don't know if it's going to come true, but our governor has had a number of press conferences recently talking about ways to reduce property taxes and in some cases eliminate them for people who are residents of the state. So we'll see where that goes. But right now, that's my number 3 con, because especially if you live in West Palm Beach and you're in one of these historic homes, if you have a mortgage on your home, you have to make sure that the construction of that home, like the strapping of the roof and the roof materials and the windows, all have to be up to code, or you can almost not get insurance in some cases. So it is a challenge in these more established, older communities, and it does add to the cost of living there as well. So that's my number 3 con. So I'm just going to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Diane Wimbrow, and I am a lifelong South Floridian and realtor here in Northern Palm Beach County. And I get calls and texts from people all the time who are thinking about moving to South Florida, and they're just not sure where to start. And I just love getting these calls and helping people figure out the right place for them here in Palm Beach County. So if this sounds like you, feel free to reach out with a call or a text, and we can set up a Zoom call. And in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe so you'll know every time we have a new video. So let's get talking about the pros and cons of West Palm Beach. My number 4 pro has to do with the job market. And I think it's really great because people used to think of Palm Beach County as this like sleepy little resort area. So you were either a retiree or you were on vacation. And we have a really strong business development board. We've had the same person running it for Kelly Smallridge for like 30 something years. And they have done an excellent job of bringing in major corporations from all over the country and industries that are clean and that suit our way of life here. And so it goes from like agriculture to the west, like Florida crystals and the sugar industry, to life sciences with the Max Planck Bioscience Institute that's up at the FAU campus in Jupiter. And then Carrier Corporation moved their headquarters here. Florida Power and Light, or the parent company Nextra, is based in Juno Beach. There are like 500 corporations that are based in Boca Raton. And then West Palm has gained the reputation as being the Wall Street of the South because so many financial businesses have moved to West Palm Beach. And, it's kind of a double-edged sword, the attention we're getting in terms of the development that's happening in West Palm. But there are a lot of diverse job prospects all around the county and especially in West Palm Beach. So I think that's a real plus, and it makes it very attractive for not only retirees or not only wealthy people, but people who have good, solid jobs to move into the community. So that's a definite plus for the city of West Palm Beach. So the last two things I'm going to talk about I think are pros, even though I think in the past they've been cons, but now they're pros. So number one is healthcare. And, back when this whole area was more retirees and vacationers, I don't think we had a very good reputation for having excellent healthcare. But since all these changes have happened, all the industry has come in, West Palm Beach has grown the way it has, and a lot of the people that live in Palm Beach, or the wealthy people that live in West Palm Beach, kind of demanded to have better health care. And we have Good Samaritan Hospital that is right downtown, right on Flagler Drive. We also have St. Mary's, which is a highly rated hospital. Jupiter Medical Center is outstanding hospital, and people all over the region from West Palm North use Jupiter Medical Center. And then the NYU Ken Langone, the Langone Center in New York is building this beautiful building downtown, and that will be more healthcare that's available. And then we also have a Cleveland Clinic. I could just go on and name it. So that is an area that once had a bad rap, but now definitely we are proud of the good healthcare that we have available in West Palm Beach. And then the other thing is the schools, because some people like to be critical of our schools. And it does depend upon where you live. A lot of times when you live east, the older schools are east, whereas the western communities have newer schools because the communities are newer. Sometimes, especially like in West Palm Beach, some of especially the lower grade schools are older schools. But at the same time, you have access if you have children. And if you're living in West Palm Beach, we do have school choice, and we do have a lot of magnet programs. So I always see, at first people feel like they can't get the school that they want for their kids, and it usually does work out. And Palm Beach Public is an elementary school that's just over the Middle Bridge, and that school serves the neighborhoods that are south of downtown. There's quite a few. The Dreyfus School is a magnet school that's nationally ranked, and that's right in the vicinity of City Place. And Suncoast is another outstanding nationally ranked school that's in Riviera Beach that a lot of kids go to school there. So I would say that I think overall the schools are really good. And there's almost no excuse for not being able to get your child into a good school. And then there's a lot of private school options as well. And what I've seen is ever since the school choice and the magnet programs, even the older schools that didn't have that high of a rating, I'll go back and look at them a year later, and I'll see that their ratings have improved. So I think it's elevating the schools overall, especially in West Palm Beach. So I hope you found this helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts or comments in the comments section. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you'll know every time we have a new video. And feel free to call or text if you'd like to chat. If West Palm isn't the place for you, there are so many interesting communities and towns in the surrounding area that I'm sure there is something that would be just right for you. And I'd love to help you find it. So see you on the next video.